Final kiss. Attempt. Attempt. 2. A single droplet of water, and another. Raindrops clatter on the metal floor as the platform peeks outside, breaking Hurt from his thoughts. Oh no, he mutters with mock concern. He casts his head down to the floor as he enters open air, and rainwater starts falling on him. The elevator gate opens up, and he carefully hops out of it and into the street. He secures his groceries under an arm before running towards Lightning's room. It is only 2 blocks away, so he smiles as he runs, crazily anticipating her surprise when she wakes up to a nice, healthy, home-cooked meal. This was sure to get his point across. The stage their friendship was in right now was full of tension, of timid glances, and constant second-guessing of the other's motives. Or maybe it was just his conclusive imagination playing on him like always. Even if such precious friendship won't be the same again, it was better than pretending that things were okay as they were. It took plenty of courage, but finally, Herb is making his move. He wonders whether Snow or Sarah had come to pay her a visit, and immediately remembers that one was busy working tonight and the other wants them to be alone together for as much as possible. Herb twists a sick smile. That's Snow. Of course he'll only ever thank him if he is successful. How he found out, Herb knew it must have been those daughters of his. Sudden interrogations always seem to get the truth out of Herb, if not with words, then through body language. Herb chuckles warmly at the resurfacing memory of them as he battles the unrelenting rain. Opening the door with a long, sharp creak, he throws his wallet and key into one of the paper bags before picking them up again. He walks inside the home just to place them on the nearby kitchen table. Before kicking the door closed, he glances at the lounge and stops silent at the sight of Lightning. He can just see her legs. She lies on the nice fur couch that Sarah gave her, facing away from the entrance. To some of his relief, the loudening rain hides the eerie silence of his sudden realization of her. Herb wonders if she is awake or not. Light, are you awake? He asks as he closes the door. She grumbles the affirmative. As soon as he hears this, Herb drops whatever the task was about to do and casually walks over to her. He smiles at the sight. He sees that her eyes are closed and she is relaxed and looking much fuller in colour. Herb knows that she is aware of his presence in front of her, and yet when she opens her eyes to see him, confirm him, the energy of those aqua blues is still enough to make his heart skip a beat. He quickly finds the pinkette surveying him. Acting, pulling back his smile, he says, "Feeling any better?" Lightning's gaze holds just for a bit longer before she lowers her lids again, sighing with exasperation, and answers him, "Yeah, I do. Much better." Herb smiles sincere now, puffing air out of his nose, then remembers and says to her, "Hold on, Light. I'll go grab the thermoscopulator. I'm guessing you haven't pinned in your health yet." "Thanks," he hears with a squeak of his step as he walks off to ascend the staircase leading to the higher platform of her large home, to her bedroom. Soon, he walks past the open door and into the room, and is greeted by not only the sight, but by the fragrance of the now unoccupied place. Her perfume. He drifts off as he aimlessly walks towards her nightstand. It's silly to him, feeling comfortable and yet so nervous right now, here in her home. Lust, he feels that too, always had for her, but now he feels like he's standing in the twilight of such anguish. There is an inexplicable strength, or possibly illness, swirling in the pit of his stomach. It's a familiar feeling, like there was a giant's battle on the horizon, set to vigorously test his fate. that kind of feeling. It makes Herb wonder what would be if he had just been bolder the 2 months he had seen her since their reunion, since they both came back home. And in the midst of his divergence into what could have been, a vibrant fantasy is born. An image that shoots a spark straight to his unit. Following this, a pleasurable buzz radiates from the area of impact, growling and growing in strength, delightfully so, to his horror. This wasn't the sea magic. Herb tries to steel his nerves and freeze over the hysterical, fiery rage, veiled by the thinning layers of his pants fabric. Nothing good can come of it. He doesn't want to be questioned about the time it took to get a single object. If he continues thinking about her, embracing him, and his desires like that, it would very much be the case. Herb fishes through the drawer he had deposited the thermospeculator into the night before, and quickly finds the device. He turns and hops as he adjusts his pants, hoping to Beelzebub that her eyes aren't as sharp today as he knows were in her better health. He soon starts making his way back down the steps. At sight of her, he's again surprised to see Lightning now sitting up on the couch, facing his direction and looking at the floor, only seconds later glancing at her and registering him. He wears a big smile, which brings her own lips in a tug, along with the brow. The agonizing seconds which Herb felt as he approached his friend before him was almost unbearable enough for him to drop the entire facade. The object in his hand, and the semi-deceitful smile of his face, the two distractions from the beckoning erection in his pants. Here, just give it a beat. Lightning hesitates for just a second before accepting the device from him. Herb knows it's because he had used it on her the night before, like was the most natural thing in the world to do. He inwardly curses himself. She places the sensor on her forehead and the device beeps. She brings it away from her and bores into the display. Yep, getting better, she comments seconds later, having analysed the digits and symbols. Thanks again. She places it on a coffee table as she twists, pushing her legs down along the couch again. He answers her with no problem as he watches her relax. Resting her eyes, head, neck, pushing herself further into the soft cushions, Lightning candidly and suddenly moans yawns in comfort, which is like a heavy slash to Herb's wavering, restrictive walls. He can't keep fighting his urges. He starts to believe that maybe she truly is oblivious to such lusty feelings radiating off of him. But if she's aware of it, she's playing him like an instrument, like some pet with its favourite worn-out toy, just poking and prodding it until it tears. Light's enjoying this, Herb thinks, almost upset, as he's lurching forward from the pain caused by his pants. Luckily enough for him, her eyes are closed, and he isn't staggered quite just yet.
So what did you buy for me?
She asks, deadpan, all of Herb's hormonal anguish considered. Any subject change is a great change right about now. It just wasn't the right time to reveal everything to her. In his mind, his original plan was much better than this development. Finding himself still standing, still equipped with a threatening, albeit concealed weapon, Herb finds the nearby sofa chair and sits down on it to his great relief, before then speaking up. Take a break here. I bought your items written on the note on the fridge, and some vegetables. Carrots, Benarelli, and Giffins to be exact, he says with some fondness. There was more to say, but Herb allows a pause just to breathe. Okay, that's nice. What are you making? She urges him on. Stew. You're going to love it, Light. Herb mellows. He thinks back to his parents, revisiting his mother, was a good cook, and who made one dish that stood out from anything else he'd ever eaten. It's a special kind of stew. The recipe, I got it off my father. My mum used to make it for me way back when I attended school at Ballinpolen. It was the only thing I would eat at some point. I hope snickers at this resurfacing memory. And I would guilt trip her into making it for me for dinner for almost every little thing that went wrong with me back then. She smiles to herself at his generosity, saying, "Well, I guess it'll be good. Can't wait then." She abruptly coughs, flinching hope, even with the knowledge that it's to be expected considering the virus she's recovering from. "You're right, lad?" he asks her, wanting a better idea of how exactly she's feeling. "Yeah, fine," she replies, continuing to clear her throat. Herb is reminded that, although Lightning's health is improving, she's still poor enough to be considered sick in bed. Herb almost laughs, knowing it's a good thing he left the Lightning locked up in its cage. The urgency to tell her about his true feelings has faded, and without disappointment, he would love nothing more than to cook a meal for her in such a state. Now he can put the task at the fore. He'll make his move then, preferably after they both fill their stomachs with what he hopes to be good cooking. Her voice punctures the short silence. "Your hair is still damp, by the way. You should dry yourself a bit," Lightning points out. He puts a hand to his hair, totally forgetting about his own external, miserable state. "Ah, no, it's fine. I was only out in the rain for a short amount of time, although it was raining buckets. I'm not dripping wet anymore," Herb didn't add. Lightning shuffles on a sofa, and now her eyes could see him. "How long were you out for?" she asks him, seemingly interested in conversation. Looking so pretty to him, he wishes he'll be able to tell her such a fact later this evening. Herb crosses her leg with a huge grin, obliging her. "Maybe an hour or so. I went out to get a haircut, since it was getting a bit long, but all the local shops were closed. Then I went to buy some of your groceries, and had an idea for dinner, so I picked out some ingredients as well," he tells her. "You went over to your place this afternoon?" she asks. Herb nods and answers her. "Yeah, earlier this morning, actually. When Sarah came over to see her, I returned here before she left, around midday." "Okay," she replies. She slowly gets up, now sitting and facing the staircase. Hope tells her, "If there's anything you need, I'll get it for you." "No, it's fine. Thanks anyway," Lightning says with a small smile, as she slowly gets up and walks towards her staircase. Herb unfolds his legs as she passes him. "So much for conversation," he chuckles to himself. Herb then stands up, and surveying the living area, he walks over towards the kitchen table. He feels the silence, barring the rain, with the crackle of wet paper bags. Pulling out and separating the ingredients of his dish with Lightning's own groceries. Putting her few items away doesn't take as long as Herb thought it would be, and as soon as he finishes, he looks over to the vegetables, and decides to begin preparing his meal. He lightly slaps his face to pull himself together, and gets a task of making the most important dish of his life. He opens a metal drawer, searching for a particular knife or peeler, and almost doesn't find it, as it is hidden underneath other cutlery. Walking around the counter and towards the sink, he grabs a chopping board and places it behind him. He opens the fridge to get the other ingredients, and places them alongside his vegetables. As he passes the sink again, he glances into the nearby window's reflection, and is surprised to notice the opening of a rubber chute built into the opposite end of the kitchen counter behind him. He soon adjusts the chopping board before it, and sets the carrots down on the wood. Footsteps can be heard descending the stairs, and as Hope begins peeling away, He calls out behind him when she's in range of seeing him. Light, I'll start preparing dinner now. It'll be done in around an hour's time. He looks over to her before speaking on, and is quite shocked to feel the force of what he believes to be a towel hit his face. Dry up, she says, infuriatingly amused. Before Herb can respond to this with something other than laughter, he hears quick footsteps before something foreign touches his hands. Softly curls around them, and that familiar scent from her room fills his nostrils. The towel falls away from his eyes, now only partially covering his face, and he sees Lightning's pinker hands enveloping his own, as he is, in the paused action of peeling a carrot. His body freezes as his face heats up, and he knows he has gone rosy red. Before stammering something, anything, she continues. I'll prepare the vegetables. Get started with the stove, she orders, with a mischievously sturdy voice. Oh, and drying yourself. Herb lets go of the peeler and carrot as Lightning easily takes hold of them. She pushes him aside, Herb dazed and feeling like a slave of the heart, shocked, totally without bearing, and compliant to its holder. As he finally snaps out of his daze, he finds himself towel in hand, watching Lightning do his initial task with mild satisfaction written on her face. Oh, how he wants to hug her hard for that. He drapes the towel over his hair, quickly dries it, and before his intentions are made clear to her, Lightning casually points a finger towards the stove without glancing back. Stove, she orders him again. There, he finds himself unsure of what he is actually supposed to do, of why he was there, of why anything was really. Tuning into his warrior senses and formulating the cooking plan, his gears start turning again. He grabs a clean pot sitting on the stove and turns towards the sink, glancing at a preoccupied Lightning before switching on the tap in front of him. He turns on the gas and fire as the water fills the pot, and he hears Lightning speak and unbusies himself. How do you want these vegetables cut? She asks, almost finished peeling all of them. Large, maybe in halves, please, he answers with a smile, before turning towards the refrigerator and grabbing the last ingredient. She starts strangely. Herb turns his head towards her. After you've readied the pot, would you show me how to cut this vegetable? Herb looks over to the chopping board and sees that what she has pinned down is a carrot. He raises a brow, and Lightning, seeing this, quickly pushes it off the chopping board and places the more strange-looking ingredient in front of her. Please, she continues unabashedly, following this up with a habitual, piercing glare. Herb walks over to her and offers his hand. In marriage. She gently drops the peeler into the palm of his hand, and as this happens, Herb realizes that he actually needs a knife. Nope, don't need this. He places it beside the chopping board. He bends his knees and maneuvers around a rigid Lightning, and straightens, finding that the drawer of knives is blocked by her. Move for me, he looks down and asks her, with what he believes to be charm. No. At her reply, Herb is made to fall on his behind, only to prevent his own momentum from falling on her. He's shocked, embarrassed, yet more confused than anything else. What? Why? I said no. I said no. I said no. She glares down at him. The only betraying feature that doesn't send Hope into a spiral of despair is that astray, purposeful curl of her lip. She's playing with him. Again, Hope admits. She had always been playing with him. Make me move, she urges him. His eyes widen. He knew now. It seemed like a whole day in Hope's mind for the mechanisms of his next reply to form. but in reality, only some tens of milliseconds of silence was all they needed to brave. No, you don't need to move. He chuckles darkly. Oh, it was now or never. He looks onto those hardened, questioning eyes as he stands, the one action effectively putting him closer to her. He noticed the widening of her eyes, and the expression that now and before seemed to invite him. He places a hand on the counter to steady, to support himself, bumping the chopping board in the process, and allowing a carrot to roll off the table. To him, it was just one of those things that usually happen in moments like this. He refuses to decline his heart's desire, again out of fear, out of uncertainty, and look at the truth standing right in front of him. Peering into the depths of her eyes, his initial joking demeanor loses its legs. He stares into her, and she stares into him. She was his truth, the one he wanted to see again after all these years away from home, the object of all these fantasies, the person whom he cares so much about too, that it scared him. He slowly raises his hands to her, and being accepted easily, gently places his slender ivory on her cheek and shoulder. Light. He blinks, blocking whatever he had wanted to say to her. He could feel her nervous reaction to this. He doesn't want to filter his words now. No, not now. He will tell her everything. What? She urges him, her lips twitching. Do you see me as a romantic partner? Hope grimaces at how his words came out. Could I be any less romantic than that? He internalizes darkly, yet hopefully aware of a possible exaggeration. Suddenly, the pink cat swats his hands away. Hope's heart stops. Hope. She seems furious to him. Of course I see you that way. Who wouldn't? And why do you think I've been trying to get you to jump all over me this past half hour or so? I even read this damn woman's magazine and bought the stupid perfume. You what? Hope mouths, feeling incredibly happy, dumbfounded, and yet turned on at the revelation. Lightning's complexion gets many hues redder, and he realizes the mixture of his emotions must be vividly showing on his face. She speaks on. How else am I supposed to get your attention without, dumbing down these emotions and making you feel uncomfortable? I know you're a sensitive guy, and I know I'm not what people would call sensitive, but I do really care about how you feel, Hope. And, you know what? Parts of you are more stubborn than a behemoth at times. Even more stubborn than that blonde idiot. Hope notices how serious she is by the fact that she isn't even crossing her arms. She's opening up to him and showing a vulnerable side to her that he wrongly thinks no one in her life has seen. Light? He then laughs despite all of this. You were provoking me into making the first move? Yeah, she laughs with him. I guess I was. Hope remembers the provoking training they underwent back when they were still fugitives, held outside the Valis Media. Fang instructed it, and Snow did too, involuntarily, one might add, since he possessed the uncanny knack for it. Something about that trademark optimism of his, luring the most horrible, scariest creatures of Grandpa's to him. It was an offhand comment like that by Fang that sent all the ecstasy on the ground, clenching their stomachs with laughter. The first one down was Lightning, and it didn't take long for the others, Story included. It was one of the funnier memories of their adventure together. Maybe the funniest. To him, it feels like they shared that same memory just now. She now looks into his eyes, and all he can feel is warmth coming from them. A reflection of how he had felt towards her, especially in these past 2 months. In his mind, they really were a great pair, full of experiences together, and with their eyes set on the future. Herb laughs again, elated, and still quite not believing this. He thinks about what to say to her now, and remembers his earlier question. Well, it looks like you've succeeded. Herb closes the distance between them, and he could see the full tenderness of her face. He didn't have to follow up his stupid plan. She broke that final wall between them. It wasn't some looming response, but was purely an opportunity, which she pushed him to taking. There was nothing right about having everything right after all. Herb laughs at what comes next. Although, light. I could do a little more provoking, just to be sure that was your intention. He says as his smoke lingers, curious as to where she'll take this. Perfect. Now he was provoking her. Lightning couldn't believe this, understood to him by the roll of her eyes. Let's see what you've got. Lightning suddenly grabs Herb's shirt and pulls him into a twist. Their bodies touch. Herb's eyes widened in surprise as their lips had almost touched. But now, it was about time he took the initiative. Light, I love you so much. He reaches in first, as she had already accepted him. They kiss.